in a minute.
Whether it's the onset of driverless cars or automated chatbots, the job market is clearly undergoing a paradigm shift. It's time for industry experts to demystify the abstraction. Thomas Power, Nine Spokes International. Angelo Dalli, UNEI. Jorge Sebastiao, QA Technologies. Ben Goertzel, Singularity Net. Moderated by Fran Moisa, Nichols Moisa.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. I'm glad to see so many people in the room interested in our panel discussion, how will artificial intelligence shape the job market? I'm Fran, as you've heard, and I will be the moderator of the panel. I'm really honored to be joined today on stage by my colleagues, and I will let them introduce themselves to you, and then I guess we'll kick off. Angelo, would you like to start?
Yeah, I'm Angelo Dalli. I'm the CEO of UNEI, a company that does research on in AI, advanced technology. And yeah, my interest is actually, I've been in AI for the last 20 years or so. So the interest in how AI will shape the job market is clearly there. And I get asked a lot about it. So.
George?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Jorge Sebastiao. I am a CTO ecosystem of Huawei for the Middle East countries. That's about 20 countries around the Middle East. I work primarily with our partners to evolve solutions.
I'm Ben Goertzel. I'm an AI researcher and entrepreneur, and for the last couple of years, I've been running the Singularity Net blockchain-based AI platform project.
Great, thank you very much. Now, we live in a disruption era, and subjects like artificial intelligence are becoming more mainstream nowadays. We hear people talking about it a lot more than before because it started to impact areas of our everyday life. So, like you said, I guess it's no surprise that a lot of people are getting more and more interested in how will artificial intelligence actually shape their professional lives and the way that companies interact with individuals and vice versa. You know, going a bit to the extreme side, or we're going to become obsolete and, and not going to have any jobs. Hopefully not the case, at least for me, I hope. So as experts in your own field, how do you actually see artificial intelligence impacting or enhancing our professional lives?
Okay. Yeah, I think AI is going to, first of all, impact two things. The two questions I get asked most is, how is it going to impact my own life, and how is it going to impact my children's life also? Because these are two related questions, but one is sort of more short-term, one is a longer-term question. I think that AI is going to free up people and to do much more creative work than the laborious work that is being done. Virtually anything that I think can be done in under 30 seconds is prime candidate for automation. But also, I think professions that can be codified, for example, even law, or accounting, or auditing, can be also ripe for disruption by AI. In fact, I think that the markets that will not be so affected would be more those industries that require a human touch, for example, like hospitality. I think those jobs actually will not evolve as much. And obviously, I think it will also shape the future of education and how people are trained and how they adapt.
George?
Yes, I think AI is actually revolutionizing HR in quite many ways. In some ways, AI is going to replace a lot of jobs that we can call repetitive jobs, but even the jobs we sometimes don't expect. Today, for example, we have AI replacing programmers. I think AI is even going to replace some of the AI, because we have now AI being written by AI, which gets even more scary. But on the other side, I do think that AI is actually helping in many areas. One area is AI is replacing these dumb, repetitive jobs that it can do much better. On another side, AI is going to augment what we do to do it in a better way. So for example, if you're a doctor, it will allow you to do better diagnose. So it becomes kind of your co-pilot. But I do believe also AI has got some issues with it. For example, one example, I work a lot in cybersecurity and AI, And what happens is, for example, if you're trying to train AI to detect, for example, a gun or a specific material, if you change 1 or 2 dots, AI gets fooled. So there's a new kind of job called microtasking, which really involves very cheap labor, which allows you to validate the results that AI is doing. So there's a whole new set of jobs that did not exist before that are being created as a result of AI existing.
Ben, what are your thoughts?
Well, in the medium term, say the next 20 to 40 years, it's pretty clear to me essentially all human jobs will go away. And I mean, production of goods and services will be done by AIs or robots. I mean, it doesn't mean that people won't do things. I mean, you may enjoy watching someone play live music as a one-to-one, human-to-human activity, but on the other hand, it means someone who would rather be improvising jazz isn't going to have to play in the lounge band in the casino just to make money to pay their rent. So I think jobs will go away, and this will be for the better. People can pursue themselves with other more enriching and interesting things. The issue isn't with that end goal. The issue is on the path there.
Right.
Things may become quite complicated. Like I've often asked who's going to give the universal basic income to the average citizen of the Congo, for example, right? It's not that obvious as different tasks are taken over by AIs and robots one by one. Different industries and nations will reorganize. But what's the principle of this reorganization? Is it to benefit everyone, or is it to benefit whoever owns the majority stake in the robots and AIs, and everyone else has to rummage around in the garbage left behind by the robot factory, right? So there's going to be a lot of interesting issues en route to what I view as ultimately a quite rosy scenario, both for humans and for their AI mind children. And this is partly where I think blockchain can help. I mean, blockchain and smart contracts can be used to do great things or terrible things. Among the great things they could be used for would be to create, new systems for economic exchange and for value and labor exchange among people that sort of smooth out this transition.
I mean, 20, 30 years, like you said, doesn't seem such a long time. So how do you, in your views, again, for a question for everyone, how do you see us sort of adapting towards this change? How are we going to cope with it, especially if we take, like you said, the end goal scenario where, a lot of the roles could potentially become obsolete? What are we going to do, basically?
I think people will have to become more flexible. And in fact, I think even the education will be aimed more at retraining people to become more flexible in what they do, because there has to be adaptation. I mean, if you look at what happened during the Industrial Revolution, I mean, people did lose jobs. They had to retrain themselves. And there was a segment of people that ended up, not so having the bright, rosy end. So I do believe, like Ben said, that at the end goal is going to be very positive, but the road there may be a little bit rocky. And also there's the law of unintended consequences. So, for example, I was, during one of my trips on thinking about AI, I was hiking through the mountains of the Himalayas. So on the way from Everest Base Camp back to civilization, I saw all these people carrying this heavy rocks, bags, and stuff on their back. And I was thinking, like, wouldn't that be great if I had robots that did this?
To carry.
But when you think about it, what are those people going to do? What opportunities do they have? So, I mean, while helping others, maybe, we'll be able to, we're creating maybe problems. And as Ben said, I mean, who's going to give the universal basic income to someone in the middle of nowhere in Nepal? So this is a real problem, I think.
I do think that people and technology don't evolve at the same speed. I do believe technology evolves much faster. If we look back many years ago in Canada when ATMs got introduced, which is almost 30, 40 years ago, they used to have the bank booklet. And what they did is, because people did not trust the ATM machine, as soon as they did a transaction in the ATM machine, they ran back into the bank to update their booklet because to actually make sure the two reconcile. So I think there is a lot of pain in between. But I do believe AI has a very great value in changing jobs today that are potentially dangerous or not always so easy to do. One example of the projects we're working on is called demining using AI. So instead of having people with kind of a metal detector go around the field, we have a drone that flies about 1 meter over the ground and with about 6 sensors is able to detect mines with a much greater degree of accuracy and much less chance of risk for human life loss. Another example, this one is from Dubai, the second one is from Pakistan. We have a case in which the suicide helpline is now being also automated by bots. So that means it's kind of a repetitive job that this guy has to answer the phone. Oh, another one, why don't you proceed with it? But instead, you know, AI has no sense, and it actually does it in a very calm, repetitive way and leads the people to the right choice of actually not making the dangerous decision towards themselves. So AI, I do believe, has a very big social impact to play in a lot of these jobs.
And do you think that the way that the education system is at the moment is actually preparing us properly to understand, you know, the synergy, like you said, between technology and individuals, and understanding, you know, the long-term impacts of this? Ben, would you?
Educational system as it is now,
yeah.
certainly is not remotely adequate to the task of even preparing people for the job market as it is now, let alone the job market of the future. And I think this is one of the big issues in the world now is, I mean, the vast majority of innovative thinking regarding advanced technology and innovation in human organization. I mean, it's going into spying on people, you know, killing the enemy of your country, advertising stuff to people, or, you know, complicated financial transactions. There's not nearly so much energy going into education, medicine, arts, scientific discovery as into a bunch of other things. Now, all these things have their place in our society and in our economy, but yeah, there's so much more that could be done in education. I mean, SingularityNet, my project has been collaborating with UNESCO on creating a curriculum for K through 12 aimed at, you know, preparing students for, you know, agile thinking and constant pivoting as they navigate, you know, technology-infused careers. But, you know, the slow speed of getting something like that off the ground compared with the speed of like working with a fintech institution or something, it's pretty astounding. So yeah, there's no doubt that, you know, probably the most important thing we could be doing as a species now is to educate our young people so as to, you know, have singularity minds and be able to fully roll along with and work to create a beneficial singularity. And we're failing pretty badly at that, at least, except maybe in a few elite private schools here and there.
Yeah. I do believe AI has a role to play a lot, even in HR development itself. Many of you who are looking for jobs, your first interview might actually be conducted by a robot tomorrow, not by a real interviewer. Because it's a very treacherous task to go through thousands of CVs to narrow it down to an automated one. That's on the, can say, pure automation side. But on the other side is the human development of the employee once he reaches the company. You can have an AI system automate and help the onboarding of the employee to be much more easier, to customize the training, to supplement his weaknesses in being successful in his job. It can also automate the tasks of sending him feedback, to give him, sometimes the manager is too busy to give the feedback to the employee. So if you get these automated emails that say, oh, yes, good job, keep it up and going, this will in itself make the employee more productive in his existing job as well. Another thing that's quite interesting, AI is actually very good at predicting when employees are about to leave their jobs, just by the behavior that the employees have. So maybe AI can be used to retain employees, to prevent them from leaving the jobs by, oh, he's about to jump ship. If he's a valuable employee, what do I need to actually retain this employee immediately?
I think there will be more emphasis on the soft skills. So, while I do envisage that, like for the next 10, 15 years, people will need to learn the engineering skills needed to actually build the AI systems, because there still is a huge shortage. I mean, when I got my PhD in AI, there were maybe like 3,000 PhD level people in the whole world. Now it has increased a little bit, but I mean, there still is a huge shortage of people. So I think that will be filled in the next. I think after that has been filled in, I think the soft skills will be needed, because people will miss, I think, that human touch. So I think while I envisage a society in which AI is doing, mundane stuff like, taking out the rubbish and stuff like that, which nobody, I think, really wants to do. Once you've solved all that and AI starts moving into higher level functions, but I think people will actually crave for that human touch, and that's where the soft skills will be something that will become very, very important. How to deal with people, how to make them, feel comfortable, how to handle problems that are not handleable by the bot, because the bot at some point will ask humans for help, and then that's when you need people to take that to the next level.
I guess it's about, we've said, it's about coexisting and merging the two to utilize, the best parts from its side, both on the artificial intelligence side as well as on the human side, and try and bring those closer together. So maybe in the very, very short term, like George said, a lot of the processes that are quite manual and laborious and with a very, very high degree of error can be, pretty much fixed in its entirety by artificial intelligence. And then as we go along, we would say in the next 20, 30 years, and then, bringing sort of the world to that next stage, I think it's something that, is on everyone's mind, like I said. So it's great to gather your thoughts and see how you see this taking shape. And we've got about 1 minute and 30 seconds left, so I thought we give the chance if anyone in the audience would like to ask some questions. Yeah, we've got one there. Can I have a mic?
Okay, if you could say your name and your question, please.
My name is Asmar, and since morning I've been attending discussions on different topics like jobs and AI and future. I think something which I think that we have missed a little bit in the discussion is how jobs and threats that we face as the world, and how AI could help create jobs to mitigate or eradicate those threats. And the threats are like, say, climate change, terrorism, cybersecurity, and these threats which are on the global threat index. So how could AI help in mitigating those threats, and by doing that, creating more jobs? So whether these three can marry at some point.
Actually, AI can help a lot. Being cybersecurity for the last 20 plus years, 24, one has to realize that when you're looking at SOC messages or others, people are good at understanding what is existing as threat vectors, but the new that you don't see before, AI is much better at understanding those patterns. So it gives you early warning about potential threats. On the physical security side, closer to homeland security, there's new sensors that are being developed today, for example, that will allow you to scan the trunk of a car about 3 to 4 meters away. So this is what we call tunable X-ray. So that means this will allow you to enhance substantially the way you do homeland security rather than today. So for example, if you have a big event like here, 10,000 people, maybe 5,000 cars coming, You'll be able to scan the cars on the street via lampposts instead of having 3 guys at the door trying to address this issue in a very manual way. So AI really can play an extremely important role in that.
And of course, the unintended consequences, because then such a technology that is just focused on threats can also be used to oppress people. So we have to, find a balance.
Well,
and I think AI will create new categories of jobs. For example, people already are doing stuff on like labeling data, which didn't exist before. So I think there will be new types of jobs created.
I think labeling data exists as a job now and will go away in a few years as unsupervised learning becomes more powerful. But the main point I would make in response to your question, yes, Jorge is exactly right that of course AI can help address all these problems directly, but another point is that if AI is rolled out in a more egalitarian way that lifts everyone up as it advances, you'll have a lot more people wanting to exert terrorism or cyber terrorism, and a lot more people feeling the need to pollute the environment in order to get themselves economically up to the level that others already are at. So having AI help cure these problems is one thing, but if AI is developed in a way that radically exacerbates global wealth inequality, creating a small handful of people who own all the AIs and robot factories and everyone else who is left with not much to do, this is the condition in which these threats are going to be multiplying tremendously. So rolling out AI in a more decentralized participatory way can minimize the advent of these threats, which is equally important as using AI to identify and palliate these threats as they actuate themselves.
Thank you. Thank you. Time is up. Thank you very much for having us. We'll be available in private if you need to speak further. Angela, thank you.
Yeah.